Today we're going to focus on finding the area of a trapezoid. We've looked at how we can decompose a trapezoid into triangles and rectangles and add those areas together, but we've now established that we have a formula for finding the area of the trapezoid. We have the two different bases that we're going to add together, multiply by the height, but then we cut that in half. Okay, so 1/2 the height times base plus base. If you prefer to think of it as dividing by 2 rather than multiplying by 1/2, you can write it that way as well. Okay, let's give this a try. So I have letters A and B. I'm going to start by writing my formula for area of a trapezoid. And again, if you prefer to write it the other way, I'll show you both this first time. Okay, so I have a height of 6 and I have two bases that are 5 and 9. So I'm going to substitute those numbers in here. For my height, that is 6. And then my two bases, 5 and 9. I'll substitute those over here as well. Height of 6. And then 5 plus 9. Okay, so over here, I'm going to go ahead and add these together. Okay, so 5 plus 9, that becomes 14. Okay. So then this becomes, it should look just like your triangle formula. You can multiply those together, then cut it in half, or you can cut it in half first. So I like to look at my bigger number and think half of 14, which is 7, then take that times 6. So we'll get 42 feet squared. Okay, over here, again, we're going to simplify 5 plus 9. That becomes 14. So we have 6 times 14, divide that by 2. Again, we're going to get 42 feet squared. Okay, let's try the next one. We've got a couple decimal numbers on this one, so we're going to write our formula first. We're going to substitute in those numbers. So our height for this one is 5. Two bases, 8.5 and 11.5. So we have decimal numbers, but we're going to see they work out really nicely. Because if I rewrite this, if I take 8.5 plus 11.5, well, 8 plus 11, there's 19, and then if I have a half and a half, or 0.5 and 0.5, that's just 1. So 19 plus 1 becomes 20. Works out nicely. So we can do 20 times 5 and cut that 100 in half, or do half of 20 to get 10, and then do 10 times 5. Either way, we end up with 50 meters squared. Okay, go ahead and pause your video and try 3 and 4 at the bottom here. And if you ended up with the same answer on both, that is correct. Coincidentally, we get the same thing here. This one, the trapezoid is just flipped over, so if you were to turn it like this, there's your height and your two bases. So your two bases are always the two that are opposite from each other. So there's my two bases, and then my height. Over here, we have the two bases or decimals, but again, it works out nicely because it's 7.7 plus 2.3, which just ends up being 10. So 30 millimeters squared and 30 inches squared.